I got comfortable being alone, and it scares me. I was in a relationship for 8 years, and I liked it, and I've been single for 6 years since. And somewhere along the way, I got really comfortable being alone, and that's kind of the part that scares me. Is that just how it is now? But there's so many reasons why, and like one of the biggest things is, I just don't have anybody to ruin my day anymore. I don't have anybody that can negatively influence me within my house. And, I like being a home. I'm a homebody by nature. Home is where I have my garden, my dog. I can cook my own food. So I like being home. And, I go back to some of the times when I was in a relationship and, it's a Saturday or Sunday and there's somebody else in your house because say you're in a relationship and you're living with that person. And if they're in a bad mood, something set them off, maybe a family conflict, whatever the case might be, they can negatively influence you and ultimately ruin your day or put you in a bad mood. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And when you're alone, you don't ever have that. You're able to schedule the day that you like, do what you want. There's nobody to harp on you if you don't, put the toilet seat down or put your toothbrush away, or maybe you cooked lunch but you didn't want to clean up right away. There's nobody kind of getting on you for the small things like nitpicking. And that's one of the really big benefits of being alone is just not having that problem. And just that in itself can become addicting, and that kind of sense of solitude that comes along with it definitely has its pros and cons. Don't get me wrong. Like there's certain things that I miss quite a bit. And a lot of times it's the small things. Like I like to cook, but one thing I really realized when getting out of a relationship was that I liked cooking for somebody else. I liked making something and seeing somebody else's enjoyment from it. And I don't necessarily get that when it's just myself. I'm definitely starting to kind of find my way back, but it's nothing to what it used to be. I was like almost a chef or a cook prior. I loved cooking new recipes and I got so involved in it. It was a big thing for me. Where now food is more looked at as just like a form of sustenance, like just a way to get by, something I have to do. And, I try to make it as tasty as possible, but I don't really put a lot of time into it. And I batch cook, like I meal prep quite a bit, right? I don't cook individual meals like I used to. And, just like the smaller things of, sitting down at dinner and being able to laugh with somebody or, watch a show and kind of get involved in a TV show, like some of the more trivial things. But looking back, those are some of the things that I really did enjoy that aren't in my life anymore. But then, like I say, now I have this nice kind of sense of relaxation at my house where nobody can really influence it. It's just me and my dog, and we get along really well. And it's nice. And I'm kind of getting to the stage where I'm almost fearful of letting the wrong person in. And, say you meet somebody, and, when you meet somebody, everybody puts on a mask. They're not really truly who they are. You're getting glimpses of them. And you only truly learn more about that person when they have like roadblocks or things come up that they have difficulty overcoming, and then you kind of learn and you see who that person really is under adversity, right? And sometimes that can take a while. It could even get to the stage to where you're already living together and you think you know that person, but then suddenly, the veil comes down and the person can change. And now, you're stuck living with that person, essentially. And, think of how many people you know that are in bad relationships. I know quite a few. And, whenever I get down, I just think about them and I think about how I would rather be in my situation than be in theirs. But it doesn't negate the fact that sometimes I still get lonely and still want to be with somebody or still want to share, the small moments and going to the beach with somebody or going on a nice drive or just randomly going for a coffee and a walk. Like those are some of the nice things to do with somebody else sometimes. Don't get me wrong, I can go do them by myself and that's fine, but sometimes it gets monotonous and it's nice to share it with somebody. But the hard part is though is when I think about the overall relationship and what I'd be looking for, it's nowadays with, the type of people that are out there and how society is, it's hard for me to even picture what my ideal relationship would look like. Like I don't even know where to even find that person or how it would all look or if it's even possible anymore. And that's where that addiction to kind of solitude comes in, is that anytime I ever think of really trying to go out and find somebody, which is easier said than done, don't even get me wrong. It's not like I could just flip a switch and go outside and go meet somebody. But nonetheless, like say you're on a dating app and say you get a couple matches. I mean, the vast majority of them, at least for myself, I just look immediately and I don't think I'd get along with them. Or I think, not that I wouldn't get along with them, it's just that they look like a headache. And it just seems like there's so much baggage that comes along with it. And now that I've been alone for so long, I like my peace and quiet. I like to do what I want. Like today, I don't want to leave my house at all today. No interest. I got food in the kitchen, and that's all I need. I like to be at home. Whereas, it's Sunday today. If there is somebody else in my life, I might have to go do a whole bunch of things that I don't want to do today. I just want to relax on my Sunday. So it's difficult sometimes, But then I think to myself, is this just kind of who I am now? And is this how it's going to be forever? Because that's the part that actually scares me, is the thought of being alone forever. Because ultimately that's not what I want. Like truly deep down inside when I think about it, I do want to make memories with somebody else and enjoy things and, share some of the things that I'm building in my life and just the general experiences, whether it's going on a trip or just like the small things like cooking, right? You know what I mean? But then, like I say, it's just like sometimes I stop and think and I'm just like, is this just what life is now? And do I have to just accept it and ultimately just enjoy it, right? Because I don't want to live through this life. And, I use the reference of it being a book and going through the chapters of life. I don't want to go through it unhappy, always waiting for a certain chapter to hit. I want to enjoy each part of it, every page. So I think ultimately myself is I'm really focusing on not closing off completely in life, but also just really learning to embrace the peace and quiet that I have and focus on hobbies and trying to redevelop and find my hobbies really, because through the years in a relationship, I think I lost a lot of hobbies during that time, and it took me a really long time to even find myself after the relationship and really to get the drive to even want to have a hobby again. But I'm really finding that that's where I'm at now. I got my garden, learning a musical instrument. I've been kind of back and forth on buying a bike, just a regular pedal bike, or, they've even got those cool e-bikes nowadays. So you could go, pedal biking for quite a while, but when you get exhausted, you can just start using the electric motor on it and you can go quite a bit farther, so you can adventure quite a bit more. So I've been really kind of thinking about saving up for one of those bikes. And essentially just enjoying my day to day, right? And not putting like all these eggs in a basket of a relationship that could ultimately, cause problems for me. So it's a bit of a conundrum. Sometimes I battle with it, sometimes I have good days, sometimes I have bad days with it. But ultimately, I do really enjoy the peace and quiet that I have day to day and being able to do what I want to do. I just need to, I think, lean into doing what I actually want to do and not just thinking about it, right? But actually, taking the action. And like I say, like if I want that bike, save up for the next couple months. Put $250 a month away. And in a couple months, I'll be able to buy the bike. Buy one used on the marketplace for $1,000 or whatever. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you guys like the video, like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.